Wondering, do you anticipate having Trocheck in the lineup tonight?
Right now, everybody's a game time decision. So, obviously, there's uncertainty around this week, but right now, everybody's a game time decision.
So I guess just see how the day plays out, and then you'll know more closer to game time. It sounds like.
That's what I would envision. Yeah.
Are you at this point? Are you just want it over with, and whatever happens, and tomorrow you'll have your team, or the day after tomorrow you'll have your team?
Yeah, I just think the uncertainty of it all is the most difficult part of it, right? For everybody, not just players, everybody involved. This is just it's never an easy time for any, as we've discussed it, leading up to this whole week. This is the reality of this time of year leading up to the trade deadline. There's always an element of uncertainty with respect to rosters and potential trades and things of that nature, and it affects people's lives. That's not easy.
I was curious. I'm here yesterday, but the JT injury takes a centerman off your roster. If you lose, let's say Trocheck, do you have enough centers? I mean, do you have enough guys who can play center on Saturday?
Yeah, well, we'll depending on what happens moving forward, we'll figure out what gives us the best chance to win based on what our roster looks like. That's always everybody's challenge.
What do you think tonight's game is going to be like, considering everything that's going on? And as a coach, what do you stress with your group?
Well, we're going to stay in the moment. We're going to try to win the game right in front of us. We'll talk about details and bring in a certain mindset, and staying in the moment, I think, is the most important thing. Not getting overwhelmed by the circumstance or all the noise around the team right now.
With since you've come back from Italy, I don't know if there's been a guy on your team like in every opponent. Obviously, you have Austin Matthews tonight. I mean, like, what's that like? And do you get a chance to say a quick hello before the game, or is it one of those post-game things where you just
Yeah, I would envision it. If anything, it would probably be a casual hello after the game, and obviously when you win a gold medal with guys, it's anytime you have success with teams, whether it be Stanley Cups or gold medals or championships, I think it has a unique ability to galvanize a group, and because it's such a unique experience. And so, obviously, I have so much respect for all those guys and what they were able to accomplish. And, tonight, Austin obviously was our team captain and was a huge part of the team's success.
A lot of what he does is kind of subtle in terms of the leadership side of things. What do you think was his best leadership moment from your perspective in Milan?
I don't know if there's any one moment. I just think the way Austin leads is through example. He plays the game on both sides of the puck. He's committed to winning. He wants to win. I thought he did a great job off the ice as far as rallying the team and building camaraderie around activities, away from the rink and in the village and things of that nature. He was a big part of that. But, as you guys know, he's not a rah-rah guy. He's a quiet guy that just his biggest way that he leads is through his example and how he plays the game, and that's inspiring.
Toronto played last night. So what do you think the key is against them with your roster right now?
I just think we have to try to make it a hard game for them. They obviously have a lot of they have dynamic offensive capability with some of the people that they have, some of their personnel. They can really score goals, and so we can't give them easy offense. We got to manage the puck. We got to make them play 200 feet. We got to make them come through people in order to have to work to create opportunities. And I think that's the most important element of anytime you play teams that have an explosive, quick strike offense. You have to make sure that you limit their opportunities to create it. You got to make it hard for them.
What have you, with Trocheck, learned about him as a player, his game, coaching him every day? You coached him for a week last year, and you coached against him a lot. What is there parts of his game that you appreciate a little bit more being with him?
Well, I think what I appreciate about Troch is he has a 200-foot game. He plays on both sides of the puck. He has a sound defensive conscience. He's a really good face-off guy. He's an excellent penalty killer, and he's a fierce competitor. You know, and I think maybe the biggest thing, I knew he was a competitor. What I've learned in having the opportunity to work with him every day is more affirmation on how competitive he is, and his willingness and his want to win. And so, but as far as his overall game, I've always had so much respect coaching against him for the way he plays the game, and you know, admire his willingness to play away from the puck as much as he plays with the puck. And it's hard to win championships in this league if you're not committed to play on the defensive side, regardless of how much talent you have. And I think Troach has a willingness and a want there.
I just wanted to ask you, before we have Fox, he played for a long time. Where do you see his game right now as he's come back, and how do you see his game?
Oh, I think he's getting better with every game he plays. You know, he missed a fair amount of time, you know, leading up to the break. He essentially played about half the games at that point that we played, so he's missed a fair amount of time. And that's not easy when you're coming back. You're trying to jump on a moving train, so to speak. But he's obviously an elite player, and you know, has the ability to impact the game. I think he's getting better with every game that he plays. His conditioning, his timing, things of that nature.
I wasn't here yesterday, so I didn't get a chance to ask yesterday. I don't know if anyone did. Mora, the decision to send him now. He's been here quite a bit for the year. You've gotten a pretty good look at him. What does he need to work on down there? You know, what did you send him down and say work on?
Well, I just think that you know, the conversation revolved around what we thought was best for his overall development in the big picture. You know, we could continue to put him in the lineup here and play in certain minutes in certain situations, or would it be better for his development if he played in all situations with the ability to have success in those situations in Hartford, and could potentially build on that success and help his overall confidence and things of that nature. And so, you know, that was, you know, we've had this ongoing conversation with a lot of our young players, you know, for a couple of months now, and what we think is best for them. And as I say to you guys all the time, you know, it's not just about throwing them in situations. They have to be in situations where they have an opportunity to have some success. You know, being challenged is one thing, being overwhelmed is another. And so we just felt at this particular point in time that it would be in his best interest to play in a lot of key situations on both sides of the puck, with the opportunity to be successful in those situations. And hopefully Scotty can build his overall self-confidence, and his game can continue to grow and mature.
Not just with Morrow, but you've had quite a. Sorry.
That's a fine.
Answer that.
That's a big one.
Take the Timberwolves.
Still recording, okay. Not just with Morrow, but with a lot of the young guys, we've had quite a few that have gone up and down between Hartford and here quite a bit this season. Do you feel like you have to maybe combat any feelings of disappointment on their end, or is it more of like, hey, you're a pro, this is part of it? Like, how do you kind of weigh in on?
Yeah, so we have honest discussions with the guys. And obviously every player has aspirations to play in the NHL. That's their goal. So do players get disappointed when these types of decisions are made? Of course. But it's also part of the process. And so we have discussions with them about that and around that, in order to help them navigate through some of their respective challenges. You know, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. We want to try to get these guys here as quickly as we can, but hopefully we want to get them here so that they have the opportunity to make a positive impact, and they have staying power. And, you know, and my experience has been that every individual is different in their journey and how they go about it, and we have to treat them as such and try to make the best decisions for both the individual and the organization, and that's what we try to do.
I imagine some take it better than others.
Correct.
Just competitive people, and that's to be expected to a degree.
Yes, it is. You know, some of the conversations aren't easy, but it's part of it. You know, it's just part of it, and you know, once again, my feeling is that, you know, honesty is the best policy. And listen, we love all these guys, and we have incredible admiration and respect for all these guys and what they're going through, and it's our job to try to help them along the way, and that's what we're trying to do. And so this is just part of the process. It's a competitive business.
Who's your goalie tonight?
Chesty.
Is the plan for him just to play as normally, like outside of a back-to-back? Is he gonna pretty much get the lion's share of the games the rest of the week?
He's going to play. You guys asked me this multiple times. He's going to play.
Is,
Last one.
who's taking JT's spot on the power play?
I tried yesterday.
Yeah. Well, we've got a number of options.